Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this week. My name is Tanya, and I'm the Marketing Manager over here at Struxoft Solutions. Today's session will be led by Mahbub, Struxoft's very own expert on all things CMS. He will be covering our new and improved CMS for SolidWorks solution, which is a complete plugin that will convert your SolidWorks parts to DSTV NC1 directly within the SolidWorks platform. So just before we get going, I just want to remind everyone that at the end of the webinar, we'll be taking a couple of live questions. In order to be selected, please press the raise hand button on the dashboard. Just please also make sure that your mic is working correctly. If you'd prefer, you can also ask questions throughout the webinar in the questions tab of the GoToWebinar dashboard. You'll be able to type them in there. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to hand off to Mahbub now.
Thanks, Tanya. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mahbub. I've been with Struxoft Solutions just more than 6 years now, and I'm helping my clients worldwide with our CMS product to create their NC1 file, from whether it's from SolidWorks, Inventor, or AutoCAD. But today we'll be talking about our new and improved SolidWorks, as Tanya mentioned. So let's start. So what I'm going to be doing right now, I'm going to be going to the slides, and we'll be switching between SolidWorks platform and my slides. Okay. So so what it is, it's pretty obvious from the name that we read your 3D native and non-native SolidWorks model and produce NC1 file with our improved one. So previously, what we had a solution that will reading your part files only and creating an XML file. And then from there, we had a standalone CMS that was converting that XML to NC1 file. So we have changed all this to our new platform. We have a new approach now. So we'll talk about that in our coming slides. So again, it targets your part files. We can also work on assemblies. Additionally, we can work on your multi-body part files as well. And if you have step files or SAT files that is coming from probably from a third-party CAD platform, we can also work on those files. The part that comes out of our software that we call NC1 file, right? And the extension is .nc1, and that NC1 file that we save from our software is as per the DSTV standard. So we call this, that's the reason why we call it DSTV's NC1 file. So it's, as we already know, DSTV is a German standard. It's a public standard that been adopted in North America and also, elsewhere in the world. And as long as any machine, that can read NC1 file, DSTV NC1 file, will be, have no issue whatsoever with our NC1 file. For those who are pretty new on that area, what is a DSTV file? It's just a text file that you can open with your notepad and understand what's there. Well, each of your NC1 file is actually for a particular part. So each part will have their own DSTV file. All it does, it has some few blocks that describes your different operations. So your external cuts, whether you have miter, you had your, copes and bevels and fillets, everything within your border. Border cuts will be coming a part of the AK block, and then opening your drills and any kind of text canceling. We do also read your marking lines. Additionally, that I want to mention that our previous SolidWorks CMS for SolidWorks was not able to read your text stenciling and marking data from your model. By this build, the new release will be able to read them directly from your model. So for the ones who are new in this area, here is a simple DSTV file opened with our NC1 Viewer. That if you go to our website and scroll down on our CMS page, you're going to see a free download for that viewer. That is normally, if you download it today, it will be valid for the whole year. If you open any NC1 file with our viewer, you're going to have a 3D view, And over here, I'm just kind of trying to make sense of the components of the part over here. So, you know, if you open an NC1 file, again, you have your data, header data, and then your operations, and then your, you know, a description of your borders, right? So any, here is a sample machines that is using our NC1 file. So bottom line, again, as I mentioned earlier, any machine that reads DSTV file will have no issue with our NC1 file. Again, what has been changed here with this new new plugin? Definitely conversion time has been improved significantly. We can say almost like instantly the part will be produced on your SolidWorks platform. So you will never leave that platform because it's totally your plugin within the SolidWorks platform. So as the software does not, you know, will not be using additional resources, you have the same requirement, right, as your SolidWorks. So no additional requirement for that for our software. You can, if you have a access control for your SolidWorks users, you can still keep the same control. And additionally, our licensing is a web-based license right now for this. Our old system was using a license manager. That has been, you know, we got rid of that system and we have implemented a new system that we call, you know, Quick License Manager. If you are on a floating license, you don't have to host any server at this point for the network license. We have significantly changed on our modeling requirement when it comes to the SolidWorks parts. Only thing that you have to make sure that's, you know, if you want to produce an NC1 file for a specific portion of your model, that portion of the model needs to be a single body part. So as we mentioned in our previous slides, that we do work on parts, a multi-body part. Well, we definitely do that multi-body part, but the multi-body part will need to be converted to a single body, multiple parts. Okay, so that's how we handle multi-body parts. But the basic rule that if you want to produce an NC1 file, the part has to be a single body, because NC1 file is designed for a single body part. So you have to have a unique part, and then from there you produce your DSTV file to be, you know, technically describe all the operations and borders to the DSTV file, right? In terms of your modeling approach, there is no restriction. It could be a weldment part, could be an extrude body, any direction. We had a limitation previously that we could have, we were only able to do blind direction for the extrudes. Now we can do any direction, that's not a problem. Additionally, we do read your stock members, you know, and if you open any part from a CAD platform, if it comes as an imported bodies, you know, we also read that. You know, the same goes for your step files, right? You don't have to run any feature recognition tool to process your step files at this point to, you know, use our current solution to produce your NC1 file. So we're going to talk about those steps in our coming slides, and then we'll do some examples as well. We just talked about what's the requirement in the modeling, but, you know, if you want to do more automation on you know, converting your parts, you know, to speed up your process, we ask for 2 additional information that you can provide on your you know, SolidWorks property is the shape size, the size, what size we are working with, right? So you do need a size to work with. Otherwise, you know, the software will not have a clue, like, you know, what kind of you know, part or the size that it's working with, right? And additionally, you have to give a part number. You know, if you want to produce, you know, let's say if you are working on an assembly level or a multi-body part level, we need the unique part number for each body so that we can produce NC1 file as per your part number. So it will grab your part number and save it as the part. So let's say part number 1.NC1, part number 2.NC1. So that's why we need that. So let's say, you know, as I said, it's for automation purposes, right? So what if, like, you know, you don't have it on your properties and you don't want to do that, right? So if you want to kind of do that manually, right? If you want to do that, we do have a shape catalog that coming within the tool. So you can just, click on there, look for your library standard, go to your profile code and select the size that you want. And then you can add it to the part. Or you don't know the size name, you can use our search tool. You can just give it, few, parameters, and you can query that, and then it will give you a list that matches, kind of those kind of parameters that you just entered over here. And then based on your need, you just select the right one, and you can add it to the part. Right. Additionally, let's say you already have your part, the part, but you just want to add it quickly. Just type it in quickly and add it to the part. So we have a command for this one as well that you can manually type in and add it quickly to the part. So again, just to repeat my previous thing again, that shape size is only required if you want to just do the more automation, right? So you just want to just one click and you have your NC1 file. Otherwise, you just have to manually select your size or enter your size or search your size from the library, right? So it's a quick thing. So for the automation part, let's talk about a bit more over here. So as you know, your DSTV has some header data. So we can actually map few header data from your properties. So you can just drag and drop anything that you have on the list from this properties is coming from your SolidWorks part right now. So I can just drag and drop anything on those lines, right? And the shape size that this is a must that I would say for automation. At the same time, if you have a quantity layer, we can grab it as well, and the same goes for your naming convention. If you have your part number, or if you don't have it, and then the software will go and grab the name of your part, right? The document name, right? So let's say abc.SLDPRT, right? So it will just save it as abc.NC1, right? And at the same time, you can also dictate where do you want to save your NC1 file. So all your NC1 file, no matter where you work on your directory for the SolidWorks, all of your NC1 file will be headed to a single directory. So once this setting has been done, to create an NC1 file from your SolidWorks part is just one single button. So you just click on DSTV, and then your NC1 file is ready to go. So let's just do an example and see how it works. So I'm going to go to my SolidWorks platform and grab one part for me. So as you see, this is a tube that I have here, right? So I have a bunch of drills and text stamping here. I have also some marking lines here, as you see. All I have to do is once I have that information over here, see that I have the part number, I have my description, the sizes here, and then I have my quantity also. All I have to do is generate DSTV, and over here, as you see, this is your DSTV window where you can see your NC1 file, the text NC1 file. So let's do that. So I click on there, and there you go. Right away, you have your NC1 file ready here, right? And this is this NC1 Viewer window is pretty editable as well. So let's say your machine does not want to read your SI text stenciling block. You can just get rid of that. So let's say I just want to keep that one block just for visual purposes here. Let's say I want to keep this too. So I can just delete anything that I want from here as well. So we can, and then so let's do that. And I just kept only one text stenciling just to show you you can also do some quick changes. Definitely when you have more understanding of the DSTV file, then you can achieve that, right? So all you do is just right click over here on those changes. And by the way, before going there, as you know, the part is already been saved as per your document name here, right? That's the targeted location that I had on the desktop and then NC1 folder. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just gonna, when I say save on the part that I just made the changes, it will update directly to that working directory. So current text saved is to the working directory. So okay, And I just had my first NC1 file over here, right? So I just want to verify, as I mentioned, we have a free viewer where you can verify your NC1 file quickly. So I'm just going to go ahead and open my viewer. So I'm going to copy paste the same path that I had my NC1 file located. And as you see over here, this is my NC1 file. That's, as I see, a bunch of drills. I had a miter over here as well. Those are marking blocks, as you see. Once I click on that line here, that comes as a KO block. So KO is for marking lines, right? If I just go to my top flange view here and zoom in here, as you see, this is the text stenciling thing that I had. Only one text stenciling document here on the line, and I deleted the other ones, right? Just to show you that quickly. Okay, so let's take another example here. It's just the same thing here. So, for this one also, it's just the same thing. As you see, all I had to do is, click on the Get DSTV, and all my NC1 file is getting updated. So now going back to my slides, let's do other example as well. Let's say I take an I-beam for example, right? So it's the same thing here. The process is similar. All you do is, you highlight to your, if you just make sure that your information has been there, all you have to do is, let me do this quick settings here for that part. I'm working on a defined settings. And then when I do that, I just generate the DSTV file that need to be generated. And I go back to my viewer, copy that, and this is the W file that I just created here. See that text stenciling here? And that's the part that been created here, right? So going back to the other type of the part, let's say working on an angle would be a good one. So let's say open an angle here. Just have to make sure that I have all my information there. So yep, I do have it. All I need to do is update my settings. And then I just click on generate DSTV file. Right away it gets my NC1 file over here. So as you see, that includes all my drills from top and bottom flange. So if I just do the same thing over here to verify that equal angle here, should be updated somewhere. There you go. So you see the angles are coming all right. Okay. So, pretty straightforward. All you have to do, make sure that you have your basic information on your part, which is your size or and your part number. Okay, and then it's just one click to produce NC1 file. So going back to my slides here. So okay, let's. What about multiple configuration? Right? We can work on your multiple configuration as well. All you have to do is switch from one configuration to the another one, and you have to kind of manually go one by one and produce an NC1 file. So I'm just going to show you a quick example for that one. So going back to our SolidWorks model, make sure that I have the right part open here. This over here. So as you see over here right now, I had an NC1 file already being produced for one of the configurations. So I'm going to go back to my config here. So the first thing I'm going to go to, let's say I go to my 013 config. So on the bottom flange, as you see over here, I have multiple drills: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 drills on my bottom flange, and I have something on the top flange as well. So if I just run my DSTV, as you see, I have my 9 lines should be here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, no, this is on the web. I just mentioned 9 on the bottom flange, so it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, correct. So on your bottom flange, as you see, there's 9 drill being ended up here, right? So if I just update, let's say go to 18 here. So as you see, it becomes smaller, and I have only 2 drills on the bottom flange. So I should see only 2 lines on my BO operation for over here, right? So if I run it again, So your NC1 file is getting updated right now. So over here, you just make sure that's they're all correct, right? All you have to do is save your NC1 file for your all configurations separately. So the last thing is this one, the last config here. So as you see, even I don't have any drill. If I run that, and as you see, there is no drill operation. All I have is my description for AK blocks here, right? So pretty straightforward. Go to your configuration one by one and save your files. Okay, so now multi-body parts, a SolidWorks part, right? So what happens is we are using an approach that's been given by SolidWorks itself. So when you open a multi-body part on our platform and you try to generate your DSTV file right away, the software goes to a mode that detects multi-body part, right? And then it brings an option that's been given from SolidWorks API, whether you want to save your multiple parts as a part, you want to save them as a part, or you can just create an assembly. There is a two-way to go ahead. So you can have multiple SolidWorks part and you have an assembly as well. Anyway, when you just do that on the assembly part, because your assembly will contain multiple SLDPRT parts. So your choice, how you want to go forward. In most cases, definitely the going to assembly would be your easy bet to create your NC1 file. So let's go ahead and do the same example here. I have it ready over here, so I'm just going to repeat that one more time. I'm going to my I think this one here. Nope, this is just an angle. So let me go back to my multi-body part. I'm launching that multi-body here. So kind of repeating the same process. Well, by the way, you can also, to work on multi-body, let's say you want to create something quickly, you just need that angle only, right? Not those plates. You can always suppress those and you can just work on your part directly over here. It says it's doable. That's not a problem. All you have to do is you can quickly add your shape size, right? So let's say for this one, it's a metric shape, so it's 100 by 75 by 10, and it's an unequal angle, and you enter it, and then the software will give you an option what kind of library that you're using. So I'm sticking with a metric shape from Australia. So I'm adding it to the part, and then once I run it, as you see, my NC1 file is getting updated here, right? By the way, those settings here, all I have to do is make sure that I'm on the right plane for making the orientation. So when it comes to multi-body, when you work on a multi-body part, you just have to make sure that you're again, I'm repeating the same thing, that you are set to the orientation correctly, right? So all I want to do is I want to see on my face on the sketch plane is like an L, for example. So if I just do that quickly, so this is an L, right? So I set that orientation, I rerun it. So as you see that the NC1 file just been created. So if I just go back to my viewer, and if you just go back to my NC1 folder as well, this is the file that I just created from that single body part. Just deleting those parts from there, kind of suppressing them from there. So if I just copy the same thing, and then see that from there, so you're gonna see only one NC1 file that's been created. Not this one. I think this one here. Yeah, there you go. Right, I had only 3 drills over there, right? So what if I don't want to do that? I want to work on the parts, not suppressing them. I want everything to be processed. So all you do, as I said, is click on Generate DSTV, and then it will right away recognize that this is a multi-body part. So you go with either with assembly, or you can just create your parts, right? And then you can name them as you want, or you can just auto-assign names. So it's your choice how you want to go ahead. So let's say I want to go ahead and do that, name it as, I can just name it here. See that over here? I can just say UA, I'm going to call it UA2. Okay, save it. And you can just do that same thing for this guy here. I'm going to call it plate 1. And the same thing for this guy here. we'll call plate 2, for instance. Okay, so this time I'm not creating an assembly, because I'm going to do that. I can create that. That's not a problem. So let's say if I just do that and create a new one. So I'm going to say new, just say new, right? I can also create an assembly as well. So it will create both my parts and my assemblies. So, and then I can just go ahead. And it's in right now, as you see, it's an internal process of SolidWorks. I can just rebuild that. And at the same time, I should see my new assembly file here as well, right? I'm just going to minimize that to see the actual one. So over here, that's your new assembly file being created. So, you know, that goes to our next step. So how you work on your assembly, right? So given that, let's say I don't want to work on assembly, I want to work on the part level. So I can just go back to that folder and work on those parts that I just created from that, right? So I can just open that UA here, right? All I said is, like, you know, remember when you work on come to a new platform that not necessarily your UCS would be the identical or an ideal UCS. You have to make sure that you update your UCS correctly, and take a good proper orientation. And again, I'm just going to add this size again. So what is, I think, 100 times 95 times 10, I believe, UA. And then I'm going to take the same thing here, or I could have it, you know, I can just add it over here as well, right? Or find it from this this library as well. So you have multiple operations to do that. So once this is done, all you have to do is generate DSTV, right? And then here you see that your NC1 file has been created, right? So we can, to summarize, do the summary over here for the part files is like, you know, you run your generate DSTV command, and it goes to you, bring you to a platform where you can save it as a part files or your assembly files, right? And then you, based on your preference, you work on those files. So let's move on and go to our next slide. Oh, okay, so let's we want to work on an assembly level. So what we need actually. So the first thing that, as we mentioned at the very beginning, that I need to have the shape size information assigned to all the parts that you want to work with, right? And you have to have the part number because you are now batch processing your assembly, right? You're batch processing your parts from the assembly level. And at the same time, because when you are on an assembly level, you know, your UCS for each part is might be different, right? So you have to make sure that you have done the state orientation for all of your parts that you want to convert to NC1 file, right? And then from there, you just, you know, one click button within the SolidWorks platform that will convert your NC1 file. So let me show you an example. That's a small example that I have here for a small assembly. And over here, all I did is, like, you know, to work on a simple, just to give you a quick idea. So let's say as this is an environment for an assembly, right? This is an assembly file. As you see, I have a different settings over here than my regular part platform. So just to go back to a part level, as you see, that gives me a different settings on my operations, right? So going back to my assembly here. So as I mentioned that I have to add additionally, let's say you don't have that information on your part, the shape size and other information, you can always go to the your part level, right? And do that, right? From here. Or you can always, like, you know, do that on your assembly, from your assembly file as well. So when you go to the edit mode, the SolidWorks platform always bring you to a settings of a part level. So over here, you can just add your size and you can do the set orientation as well. Okay, so let's say all my settings has been done. I have my my part number. I have my my shape sizes over here. All I have to do is create DSTV file. I can tag a member that I want to produce, or I can, like, you know, it's a very simple, a small one, right? And let's just generate DSTV from here. So all it does, it just creates a folder on the targeted location with the name of your assembly, and on that folder you will have all the NC1 file dumped over here. So if I just copy that path and try to see those NC1 file, I can just paste it over here, and as you see, I have my channels 1, channel 2 with miter here, and I have a plate that with a slot here, right? So it's pretty straightforward, all right? All you have to do is make sure that your parts, when you're in the assembly level, you are fulfilling that three checklist, right? So once this is done, it's just one single button click to produce NC1 file. So the last thing that I want to talk is to work on step files or a set file, right? So when it comes to a step model, for example, right? It could be a single body part, it could be a multi-body part, or an assembly as well, right? So once you open that part on your SolidWorks, the SolidWorks process will kicks in, right? It will either treat it, it will recognize it as a multi-body. If it's a multi-body, if it's a single body, it will come as a single body part. And if it's an assembly, then SolidWorks will run a process where it will create multiple parts for you on that assembly, right? So let's say, for an example, I'm just going to open a single part first, okay, and then I will show you an example that I have done before, that how it will work on a big assembly, which is a step assembly, okay? So let's go back to my folder. Let's try to open a single, let's say I'm trying to open a step file, right? So I hope I have something here. Do I have this? Is that I'm just trying to I'm looking for a single body step file at this point. There you go. So once you come in here, as you see, this is a single body step file, right? All I have to do is, I don't need any process over here. You can do run the diagnosis. It's up to you, but you don't need it, right? So let's say if I do that, it's the same thing again, right? So as you see, this is your part. You just opened it, but right now when you open that part, this part has been saved as an SLDPRT, right? All you have to do is, before running that, just save it as a part file. So you just save it, and then the drill is exactly the same as your SLDPRT, because over here, even though if you are opening a step file, at the end of the day, you are working on, just a simple the SLDPRT, right? That doesn't contain any features or something, just a solid body right now, right? So to work on that is you have to know, you definitely do the set orientation quickly, and then you have to know the size, right? So let's say I don't know the size because I want to show an example, so that's why I choose that example here. So what I do, I just evaluate that, what's the height and width, and I just find the exact size that will match it, right? So let's say if I just do that quickly, it's a 171 millimeter. It's a metric shape again, and then what's the width over here? Let's see. So it's 356 and 171. So I can just easily search it over here on my library again. So it's 356 and 171, right? I just put the parameter quickly. It's a metric shape, and I'm looking for an I-beam, right? And the first one is my height, and the second one is my width, right? So I'm gonna run the query, and as you see, it's gonna be a big list that's gonna come in, and that will match it, right? So I'm gonna looking at exactly that matches rightfully. So let's say, if the thickness is 13, let's say that my thickness was 13, so I can just choose this one, right? Because it's 356 and 171. So I can add it to the part, and right away, if I just click on generate DSTV, it will give me the NC1 file right away. So as you see, I have some internal opening here, and a few drills. And if I just open that part with my viewer and go back to my NC1 folder, we're right now in the assembly folder. That's why we see that 3 NC1 file. We're going to go back to NC1, and this is the one that we just created. I think the name was this one here. So as you see, if I just zoom in here, I was able to see that I have my slots here, my drills over here, and I was able to capture all the drills and slots, right? So this is what happens, you know, when you process your SolidWorks step files on your SolidWorks platform, right? So to give you the last example that I mentioned, that what happens, you know, you have something which is multi-body, right? So if you just open a multi-body part, for example, so let's say, you know, I have this one. It's a big one that we have on that screenshot over here. So if I just try to open it, with my SolidWorks, right away it will be, you know, doing its own progress, and it will create a huge, you know, right now as you see, it's just a one single assembly right now. But you can easily run, you know. As you see, this is I already had that on my process, so it has individual component level, right? So, you know, again, you know, you can go back to your part level and work it from there, okay? And then you know, and from there you can process your NC1 file, right? It's the same process as you have on your assembly, the regular assembly, or your part level. You go to the part level, you work on it. Or if you want to work on an assembly, you just make sure all the parts has been you know, given with the right orientation, has been given the shape size and the shape and the part number. These three information is given, and then you can batch process your parts from your assembly. So that's pretty much it that I wanted to show you today, and I'll take questions now. But in future, if you have any questions, you can always write an email directly to me, or you can call me the number that is on my screen. So Tanya, goes to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. As Mahbub mentioned, we have time to answer a couple of questions. If you'd like to go ahead and pose a question live, please raise your hand now by clicking on the hand icon in the control panel. Just also please make sure that your audio is working correctly. And while we wait for any questions to come through, I'd just like to remind everyone that the recording of the webinar will be sent through tomorrow. As always, please feel free to share this recording with any colleagues. And if you'd like to set up a one-on-one demonstration or have any follow-up questions after the session has closed, we highly encourage you to reach out to our team. Our contact details are available on the screen right now, but they also will be available, they'll be provided with the recording tomorrow as well. All right, I'm just going to give it a couple of seconds to see if anything comes through. All right then, so that looks like that's a wrap for today. As I mentioned before, if there are any questions after the session has closed, just send us a quick email or give us a call and we will get back to you as soon as possible. We'll now be ending the webinar. Thank you to Mahbub, and also thank you to everyone who registered. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye for now.